Yep.
Well, they have a number of different race options. You could try the 1K.
And you can walk to it.
I would, Saturday, not this Saturday, but I would get a big hit of you competing against the 5-year-olds in the 1K. Everyone else is this tall.
If a person moves, they would do
Shows you're trying to accommodate.
I know, yeah. And they'll know if they can't.
Because 2 more weeks ain't gonna make it.
No, well, I know, most of them, I mean, they said would, whatever. I know, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, avoid that. More forward. So we're looking at.
I guess what I am asking for is just a couple more weeks again. Correct.
Our patients,
While I
It's good
want,
to know I have it in, so.
and then,
What's at the soccer field this year?
you know, we could have them start here with the whole package.
you know, if she's gonna tell me she can do it in 2 weeks, then get it done. I know better than this.
I know. I'd pass it down to Kevin and then to Brian, then let Brian read it,
Okay, then related to all the third events.
I need that back.
Kevin,
okay.
Kevin,
And
if you
then-
could read that before the
and
meeting
then
starts, I'd
Mr.
appreciate
Morrison is
it.
back.
You got 1
You
minute.
guys have to read that in
Piece of
1
paper,
minute.
seriously, because then Brian and it's gotta come around.
Yep.
Can Brian have that? Can you just give it to Brian?
It's for today.
Thank you.
Well,
It don't matter.
doesn't matter then. All right. All right.
Before I vote.
Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, all.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Okie dokie. Approval of county board minutes.
So moved.
Second. I got a motion by Mr. Mauer and a second by Mr. Johnson. Any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any additions or deletions?
We did change one order. We added the solid waste abatement to below the proclamation.
So we'll put that as number 5, the solid waste abatement, correct?
We got number 6 here.
Number 6.
So
It's
it's,
already
this is
correct.
correct.
We have a
This is-
corrected
We
agenda
have
in
the
front of you,
corrected
just letting
agenda.
you know there was a
Okay.
change from
Mr.
what
Chair,
was
based on the correct agenda in front of us, I'll make a motion.
all right, I got
And I will second
I got a
that.
motion by Mr. Jelinski and a second. Those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, proclamation, EMS week. Come on up.
Morning.
Good morning.
Against-
And if you could state your names, we'd appreciate that.
Good morning, Pat Boone, Fire Chief at Camp Ripley, but I'm also the chairperson for the Morrison County Public Safety Organization.
Emily Senta, Morrison County Public Health. I help Pat with the public safety group for Morrison County.
Good morning, Pat. Good morning.
Morning.
Emily.
Morning.
All right, a proclamation by the Morrison County Public Safety Group to designate the week of May 15th to the 21st, 2016 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service and
The members of the Emergency Medical Services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and
access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and
Emergency Medical Services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and
the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, law enforcement officers, public health emergency preparedness coordinators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other medical care providers, and
the members of the Emergency Medical Services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training, continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and
It is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Morrison County Commissioners of the great state of Minnesota, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th to the 21st, 2016, Emergency Medical Services Week in Morrison County. And we call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens and encourage the community to show appreciation.
Gentlemen, any discussion?
I would so move on that, Mr. Chair.
I got a motion from Mr. Johnson and a second from Mr. Mauer. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a comment on the importance of our first response teams, the importance of our ambulance services, fire services, law enforcement services. They all work together with the whole thing here. And as much as, but I also want to just really reach out to the first responder that is not a covered employee of a business or is not a paid volunteer. The first responders I'm talking about are the farmers, the private citizens that are no different than we are. They all of a sudden have a pager that they carry, a cell phone that they carry, a radio that they carry. It goes beep, 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 and they're gone. And it doesn't matter what time it is to recognize them. And I believe that's part of EMS Week. So thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I would have said the same thing Jeff did. So as long as he said it,
As long as he said it, there's no sense in repeating it.
I do it a lot quicker, though.
Mr. Chair, having worked in the medical field for many years, what the first responders and all of the emergency services people do is phenomenal. I mean, there's some of us that have issues with those types of crisis situations, and it's just great. I mean, to take time from their life and respond to those types of really traumatic situations is very important. And in fact, at the MS Awards banquet, we recognized some weren't there. So thanks for all you do. It's so important to our community. So thank you.
Myself, I'd like to take a little different perspective. If somebody wants to become a EMS or a volunteer, who do they contact? You know what?
They would contact the organization that serves their community that they live in, whether it be Piers, Swanville, Randall. They contact that organization and they can direct them on what their needs are and when they can apply.
And I'm assuming you're always
Training.
looking for volunteers, correct?
I think that's a pretty standard requirement out there, that organizations are always looking for volunteers to help, especially in this field.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I know in Swanville, they're always looking for, firemen and first responders, so.
And Mr. Chair, if somebody doesn't know who to contact, I know Emily would be a great resource.
There
in
we
terms of
go.
being
Yep.
able to find out.
Absolutely.
And you point them in the right direction,
Wow.
correct? There you
Yeah.
go. All right. Any more discussion, gentlemen? I have a motion, a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Commissioners.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We want to take a picture?
I think we do.
Oh, yeah, photo. We always gotta get the photos in there.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Why don't we close the door behind you? Thank you.
That pretty much.
I don't know that it could get better, so we're gonna.
I don't think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Solid Waste, please come forward. And again,
Good morning,
state
Mr.
your
Chairman,
names.
members of the board.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Chairman, we come before you this morning asking for your consideration of resolution that would authorize the department to abate illegal solid waste disposal at 13086 Terrace Lane in Little Falls Township. The resolution was included in your packet, lists the sections of our ordinance that are in violation, and Chuck will take you through the work that we've done in attempting to try to abate and clean this violation up. And we also have some of the evidence for your review before you consider the resolution. So I'd ask Chuck to move through some of the activities that he has conducted in trying to abate this up to this point in time.
Good morning, Commissioners, staff.
Good morning, Chuck.
This has really kind of been an ongoing effort to get the solid waste cleaned up. It's really not an overwhelming environment, but it's a chronic one. And it's really kind of almost a second iteration of solid waste cleanup. So it's been ongoing a couple different times, but I declared it free at one point of solid waste on a previous complaint, really just identical, but different timing, and then opened it back up as really kind of a separate violation, but really similar in fashion. So there's three subordinate subdivisions in our ordinance that talk about solid waste, primarily storage and disposal, and burning would be probably the other piece that's part of that. So I've got, this was an initial complaint that started somewhat back in 2013, but as I said, I did find that she had cleaned up and did the cleanup on her own the first go around. But then in May 27th of 2014, really the start of a new complaint cycle, at least the way we addressed it. In the packet, there are the second page and third page of this solid waste documentation form shows the number of iterations of times that I talked to the complainant and some of the neighbors, as well as the owner of the property, which is Miss Angie Hemp. And she's always been very cooperative and forthcoming in most respects, but just never showed any progress in particular during this second phase or second time. So it's just gotten to be, we're actually outside of our limits on what we would normally do for a policy, but it's always been trying to give the homeowner every opportunity possible to take care of this at the least expensive and easiest way at their level to take care of it, and it just hasn't happened. There's a lot of other environments that are going on there, but the solid waste hasn't changed in particular. And there is a certain element to this that's going to have that eyes of the beholder also built into it, because some of it really isn't solid waste necessarily, but might be considered something that we wouldn't find aesthetically pleasing if we lived next door. But the burning, there's ash debris that there's evidence in pictures, and then the disposal method, as if you want to look at it that as her backyard, but it's really probably primarily a storage violation to start, because it's kind of all bagged up, so it's not like if it stayed there forever, it'd be your disposal method, but ultimately it's a storage issue to start. But that's just a timing issue. If she'd cleaned it up, the proper disposal method, we'd all be done already. So,
Mr. Chair, and this has been going on for quite some time, and I know the letter that we just reviewed is more in the present regarding some current issues, but this appears to be an ongoing pattern of behavior based on what you're showing us. The neighbors, you had a number of neighbors report this or share concerns?
well, I've had discussions with at least 4 of the neighbors. 2 of them I would call in that formal complaint stage.
Okay.
Also, I had gotten some a call from Michelle Warrenberg, seeing that if their office could influence that from a Department of Health perspective at all. So, it's coming from a number of different directions besides the neighbors. Well, it could have been the neighbors calling that direction as well, looking for where it best fits in our enforcement, I guess, area, and the solid waste is really it, so.
Well, and I think there were a number of issues in my district that were brought forth from constituents that I brought to you, Chuck, and all of those were cleaned up in a timely fashion, I believe, you know, so how long do we, so the result of this is that what, we clean it up and she gets charged with the cleanup, or how does that work?
The way the resolution is set up
Okay.
is that the cleanup would be stayed for 10 days. So following action, if you approve this, she would have another 10 days from now to actually clean up. Following that, then we would, if it did not happen, then we've utilized STS and Public Works forces or potentially private contractor to come in and do the cleanup under Chuck and I's purview. Then she would be billed for the work. If she failed to pay that billing, then we would go through the assessment process, typically to a street project where you would hold a public hearing. We would demonstrate the costs that were associated with the cleanup, and then you would establish the assessment. If the assessment isn't paid, then it's a lien on the property. Goes to a lien on the property.
My question is, if she decides not to clean it up and we clean it up, what do you think the odds are that this will all start all over again? You know, because it's been ongoing, say.
Well, I think there's some financial considerations that she's presented. I don't know that they exist myself, but she's presented those as the case. And I guess we've had 2 iterations of it. One of the first things I look for at any site is whether they have some sort of established cleanup. And I mean, I've gone to sites where they're 10 times worse than this, if not more, but they've got a garbage can sitting right there with weekly pickup. So I verified that. So it's a mixed bag, but there isn't that in this case. So I don't know that it wouldn't occur right away again as it did. You know, this is the second iteration, essentially. So that would just be my surmising with what I know and what she's provided me for information.
And again, I'm looking at the photos, and it you know, the wintertime, yeah, but now spring and summertime gets come around. Now you've got maybe varmints that have a chance to start coming in that area, and I'm sure the neighbors wouldn't like that either, you know, so.
That has been presented as a certain amount. It hasn't been overwhelming, but,
Right.
you know, there has been a rodent seen, so.
A road.
Mr. Chair, and I think in any situation, whether it's legal or not, okay, you don't intervene. I mean, you intervene hoping to change the behavior. That's why you intervene. You don't intervene you try to force someone to change their behavior. If that doesn't happen, then you intervene again. You know, so you ask the question, well, what if they don't change their
Right.
behavior? Well, then the process continues. So it seems time to do something from my perspective.
Mr. Chair, if I could, I do
Sure.
have communication from the property owner. She was unable to be here this morning, but did provide communication if you would entertain. I
Go
would read
ahead.
that.
Certainly.
To the Morrison County Board from Angela Hemp. It's dated 5/10 of 2016. This letter is an attempt at representing my position in regards to the state of my property at 13086, Terrace Lane, Little Falls. I am a single mother with 4 children, and I lost my teaching position at a charter school in St. Cloud due to the state of Minnesota closing the school. Adding to my financial difficulties is a medical condition from which I am finally on the mend. I genuinely am very anxious to clean up my yard and home and appreciate the kind and patient attention Mr. Perrins has afforded me. I guess what I am asking for today is just a couple more weeks of patience while I wait for my property tax refund to be returned to me. That will be an ample resource for the work necessary at my property. Thank you for your time, Angela Hemp.
If I may, Mr. Chair, this process that we're going through this morning is authorized by our solid waste ordinance, section 23.3, and also Minnesota statute 375.18, subdivision 14. Our abatement policy requires 7 days notice to the landowner. I did send a letter by certified mail that she received on April 21st, 2016, notifying her of this hearing this morning at 9 a.m. It appears that she's not present today. However, she did send the letter that was read into the record. Procedural due process does require notice and an opportunity to be heard. She obviously received the notice, and she's had an opportunity to be here and be present and to provide whatever evidence that she wants to the board, what she wants the board to consider. And apparently she chose to do that by letter, and that's been read into the record. So I think at this point, it's up to the board to decide whether the county would be authorized to enter onto this property and conduct cleanup pursuant to the resolution that we prepared.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Jelinski.
I don't know if this is addressed to Steve or if this is addressed to Brian. I think Steve said it, that once this resolution is passed, should it be passed, she would get 2 more weeks.
10 days.
Or 10 days, excuse me, is that correct?
As a part of the resolution at the end, there is a 10-day stay until we would do the work.
And I believe the letter said if I could have 2 more weeks?
Several weeks.
Or
She asked for
It
2
said
weeks.
2 weeks.
Just
I
a
think.
couple more weeks.
Couple more weeks.
Couple to
Wow.
me is 2.
Yeah.
10 days to me is 2 weeks, so.
Mr. Chair, to me it looks, are they burning out there? Is that illegal to burn? It is, right? Garbage? Yeah. And it looks like the burn barrel's got garbage in it, and it looks like they probably are burning it as they go, and it's not going fast enough. So I guess we need to clean it up.
Commissioner Johnson.
Mr. Chair, one question I have for Steve, what if, she asked for a couple weeks, if 10 days is out there and it's half or 2/3 cleaned up, then what happens? I mean, if they've been doing something,
Well,
then you go and do it.
we would
If
do
it's
it.
not 100% cleaned up.
If it's not cleaned up to
To your
Chuck's satisfaction, we
Okay.
would move in and clean it.
Okay, okay, okay.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? We have no discussion. I need a motion.
So moved.
I got a motion from Commissioner Mauer. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And last time, any more discussion from Commissioner, I got a second, Commissioner Jelinski. If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve will be back.
Community development.
Be my guest. Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Carol.
Morning.
Morning,
Morning,
Carol.
I was glad to see all of you at the Food Hub opening. That was quite an event there,
It was.
you know, and I think they're gonna be open on Saturdays for the marketplace, but I don't know when that's gonna start, what day, but Arlene did a survey of her vendors and found that Saturday would work the best. I'm also working with Lund Manufacturing in Royalton. You know, they're putting on that 36,000 square foot addition. They want to add people, you know, we've got to find the welders and that, so we're trying to put a training program together with the schools to bring a welding trailer in and train people there. And one of the things that came out of that, and I've got 2 school districts that are interested in it, is to train the welding instructor so that he has the certifications, so that, say, a senior went through the class, when he graduates, he would be, or she, would be a certified welder. So, I mean, what a jumpstart that would be, you know, for a career. So we're gonna try and see if we can work some of that in too.
Are you at liberty to tell us what schools are willing to participate or not?
We've only asked 2,
Okay.
you know, and one was, both of them said yes. And I'm working with the Workforce Center too to contact the other schools, but Little Falls and Piers were interested
good.
in that, so.
Very good.
We'll try to keep working with them.
Super.
Also, we're in the, we've all approved community development in the city, and they've got bank participation, and now the project's going to the SBA for approval. And if they approve, which I'm sure they will, we will be having a small brewery in Little Falls called Starry Eyed Brewery. And they're,
Good day.
but they're going to purchase a building on the north end of Little Falls and have a tap room and the brewery part, and then they want to grow hops. They've got a piece of land that's with it and grow their own hops for that. Have an outdoor place for people to sit. The gentleman that's doing this has been to school and trained. He's worked with a lot of the breweries in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And there are two local people that grew up here, went to Little Falls High School, graduated. One stayed here and is in a construction business, and the other one went to do something else. And it's Kyle Kiefer and Tom Goebel. And they're kind of coming back and starting a business together here where they began. And so everything has to go, it's at the SBA, and that'll take about 5 days or so before we get an approval on that, but I expect an approval. So everyone's quite excited about that. They hope to be open by December, maybe sooner, but now they have to go through the permitting process. So they will have in the tap room, they will have probably 10, 15 different varieties of beer. They're going to have a canning operation in the back and kegs. They've got, they went around and got signatures from various restaurants and bars if they would be interested, and I think they had like 40 that were interested in carrying their product. So we'll see, but I'm sure you would like to be invited to the grand opening for that, right?
He's gonna bring us, put a star in our eye. or whatever he said.
Let me see. We've done the shovel-ready site on the city property, and I've got a couple of calls from some site selectors. You may never hear from them again, but you work with them. Just finishing up on the paperwork has gone in already on the school district property, getting that shovel-ready. And finally, every couple of years, we do what we call a lenders meeting, where we bring together all the various funders, SBA, USDA, my group, the Region 5, the Initiative Foundation, everyone who can, work financially together with a bank to put a deal together. So this year, we're going to be doing that on June 9th, but we're also adding the accountants. Because as I've been talking to some of the accountants, they don't have a knowledge of what programs are out there and how does it affect a business's cash flow. And lots of times before a person comes or a business comes to the bank or to me, they may go to their accountant and say, ask them for advice, where do I go? So I think this would be getting a bigger awareness out into our community of the programs that are out there that are available to help businesses. And I've asked Ryan Rolls to come from Minnesota Department of Agriculture, the Rural Finance Authority, to talk a little bit about some of the ag programs that they can use to help farmers. So I think hopefully it'll be good, and we'll get a nice group of accountants and bankers there.
Good deal.
So
Mr.
that's,
Chair, Carol,
Commissioner Morrow, yes.
how is Larson's doing?
as far as I know, they're doing well. They have like a 3-month backlog.
Cool.
The last time, and I talked to the president last month, and that's what he told me.
Okay.
And, they're selling off part of their property, or they would like to. They've downsized for, the boat market that's out there now, And so that's what they're trying to do, I suppose, get some money, pay down some debt, be sized for, that's what they've told me, so.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Carol, maybe you can't answer this question, but with the food hub, how do people bring in stuff and how do they charge for it? Or do I ask, I don't know, do I know what I'm gonna get for my potatoes, for instance, when
Yeah.
I bring them in and
Yep.
that type of stuff?
Yep, they do, because, say you're the potato grower, and Arlene calls you up and says, I need you to deliver to me, or I can come pick it up,
Yep.
but I need you to deliver to me 200 pounds of potatoes on Wednesday, okay? And so you're gonna, bring it in, maybe wash them off a little bit. You bring them in, and then they're going to further wash them, because the call is because she got a call from the school district that says, I need 200 pounds of potatoes on Friday. So you bring them in Wednesday, she turns around and sells them to the school district on Friday. You get paid within 15 or 30 days, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be a little bit less than if you would have gone to the school district directly, because, I mean, she's got to make hers. But you just deal with one delivery point, and the school district just calls one person and says, I need this delivered on such and such a day, and it shows up.
So the school districts and those places must have like a price that they know what they're paying, they've negotiated. The other person knows what he's gonna sell them for. and
Yeah.
It's all, okay.
Yeah, and she's
I was
got
just
her
kinda
profit
curious.
margin. The other thing that you're finding with school districts is, they're set up really well for food service to do microwave, They don't necessarily have a lot of the cutting tools or freezer space or any of that. So a lot of this is going to be, for example, lettuce, okay? You're growing lettuce, you grow romaine lettuce, and you bring in the romaine lettuce. The school district doesn't have the time to be chopping it up. So they say, we'll pay you extra, Food Hub, if you'll chop it, wash it, chop it, and bag it for us in 5-pound bags. And so that goes on at the Food Hub, and then for a greater price, they go and they sell it to the school district. School districts are really interested in that too, because you got your green beans coming in, they want to serve green beans. She's got the freezer space, so they can, have the green beans brought in, they're going to clean them, they're going to freeze them, and then in November, they can take them out to the school district.
Sounds good, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions, gentlemen? Mr. Chair, I would just like to make a quick comment on the brewery, more business. And I see no reason why that would not be as successful. It's successful to the south, it's successful to the north, and it's a new thing, and yahoo! I mean,
And-
whether it might not be for everybody, and that's okay, because there's all kinds of things that are not for everybody, but this is just another one of those things that can grow. So good.
Well,
Glad to
and
hear
look
that.
at it as a tourism draw, too.
Absolutely.
Because you're going to have the farmers markets there, you're going to have the brewery like 2 blocks away.
Yep.
And the other thing, they're not going to serve food there, but they're going to contract with some of the local restaurants or have agreements that if somebody comes and wants a pizza, well, Domino's can deliver it out.
Sure.
Or the Black and White, can deliver this out, So it's good business for them. The other thing is, they're going to be closed like at 11 o'clock. Open like Thursday through Sunday till like 4 to 11. They don't want to compete more with the bars, so
Well, it's not, it's a totally different environment.
totally different environment, yeah. But I think it'll be a nice tourism draw too.
Any more questions? Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm not a fan of those places at all. Camp Ripley. I don't like that beer at all. That beer, that homemade stuff, I don't like it. Morning. Morning, Colonel.
Good morning, good morning. It's that time of year again. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, it's good to be back. Always good to come in the spring and give you a briefing. This is actually my 6th, and now you know how long that I've been out at Camp Ripley. So we've got kind of an interesting year coming up, and I'll start actually just by explaining a little bit of what's going to go on in the next probably 20 days, 20 to 30 days. We are moving the 1st Brigade, Armored Brigade Combat Team out to Fort Irwin, California to do a full training readiness exercise. That's about 5,000 soldiers. All of their equipment, you've noticed over probably the last couple of months, the increased amount of equipment that's moving up and down the highway as we stage all that equipment. Well, starting this week, actually the 14th, we're going to start moving trains to about 47 to 49 rail cars a day until the 23rd of May. So that's about 450 to almost 500 train cars. Those cars right now are being staged up in the Staples area, and then they'll come down, obviously, and then make the run through Little Falls and up to Camp Ripley. We're going to be bringing a train in per day, and so Highway 115 is going to be affected by that train. So we've already done all the coordination with the Sheriff's Department and with the State Patrol and everybody. So we'll be closing 115 as we cross the 115 bridge from 6 until about 8 or 9 each night, bringing a train in, taking a train out. And that'll all occur over the 14th to the 23rd of May. And then we're going to reverse that process in July. So 7 to 17 July, we're going to reverse that and bring all that equipment back to Camp Ripley. So it's going to be, this is, to my knowledge, the largest logistical exercise we've done in many, many, many years, moving all that heavy equipment on and off the installation. So you're gonna see a lot of people in, a lot of train cars being chained down, a lot of extra people contracted to come in and help us get all that equipment out. There's Connex loads full of equipment staged right now, along with all their equipment. So that's coming up. So, next slide, please.
Just a question
yeah.
on that. You guys are contracting with people probably to do some of that work. And,
We are.
You know, I noticed the little resort, or the little campground that we approved 3 years ago on Green Prairie Fish Lake, that is all kinds of, it's all full of campers now.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that.
It could be.
A lot of those people are staying there in their campers and working at Ripley, I'm thinking. 'cause
It
it's full.
could be, Commissioner, because there's in fact, we've already got campers in our campground, we've got campers over there. They could be contracted folks. Remember, we also got that solar project going on, so that is full steam right now. And boy, if you haven't seen that, I'll talk about it in a little bit, but that is amazing as it's coming into fruition.
I
So a
just-
lot
I figured
going
there
on.
was something that's really
Yeah,
good.
absolutely, a lot of contractors. We're also redoing the power grid, so we have a ton of electrical contractors in right now as well. So, a mission hasn't changed, mission's the same. Remember, my mission really is that federal mission's first. We're still deploying units. We're still sending units out. We're actually getting ready right now to send one of our units from southern Minnesota to the Sinai. So we're getting those guys trained up. We have our Chinook helicopters are actually pre-deployment training right now, so they can head back to Afghanistan. So we're still in a training and rotation cycle, and that will continue. That's my primary mission. That secondary mission, always my state mission. You know, that state mission of protecting the property and citizenry of the state of Minnesota. And I'll talk about that more. And then my third mission, obviously, is make sure that we're doing the right things with the community. Make sure that we're out in the community, that we're representing what we do in the community and around the communities around Camp Ripley. So that's it. That mission statement, that's all inside of that right there, and it hasn't changed. Next slide. Our economic impact, everybody likes to get a look at this. We're missing a few numbers yet from last year that we're still compiling. But obviously for me, the thing that I like to see in that is I look at a couple numbers. That local contract number last year was a little under what I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it up over 3 million. That's local contracts, local people doing work on Camp Ripley. I think that will well exceed 3 million this year. With all of the contracts we have that are done in the local area because of the huge infrastructure projects we're doing right now, especially in power and underground utilities and fiber. We're doing a lot of work out there right now on those projects. So that's a number I watch. Obviously, that food number is a big one. You know, our soldiers eat a lot. That's all drop ship, local contracted, and in Domino's Pizza and everything else. So all added in there, right? So these kids eat a lot, and that's okay because we work them pretty hard. So,
Mr. Chair, Colonel, if I may, when you talk about local contracts, please, if you can expand, if you can't, that's fine. When you talk about local contracts, are we talking Morrison County, Cass County, Crow Wing County? Are we talking about Minnesota?
We're talking about Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We're
Okay.
talking about Minnesota. And that's really based on state law and the way state law works and the way we contract everything that we have. Now, see, we do two types of contracts. You're very aware that 99% of our funding is federal.
Yep.
And yet it's a state-owned facility. So we contract a lot of those local services through the state part of our business, through the Construction Facilities Management Office. A lot of those contracts are done by the United States Property and Fiscal Office, which is federal, and they're done federally. So the rules are a little bit different for each one, but we always go by state and federal law when we follow those contracts.
And specifically, and you answered it, that it's Minnesota is what we're talking about.
Local contracts is Minnesota,
And when we're
correct.
talking about food, are we talking about locally? Are we talking about Minnesota?
Yes, yeah, we're talking about food is locally, it's all contracted within the state of Minnesota from
very
large
good.
dropship
Very good.
contractors. And that changes about I don't want to get it wrong, I think it's about every 2 to 3
Yeah,
years.
nope, that's fine.
They change the contracts and then they rebid those
Yep,
contracts.
very good, thank you.
You bet. Next slide. So May, I mentioned a couple of units there. I mentioned the 1st Brigade going out. B2 11th is probably the one that's going to affect us the most. That's the Chinook helicopters. So they are getting ready to deploy again. So you can expect to see them up the corridor at night especially. They are a unit that works mostly at night. And the way they do their mission is at night, so you can expect those big double-bladed helicopters to be coming in and out of Camp Ripley about every night now as they prepare for that exercise. The 682nd is deployed. They're currently in Kuwait. This is their rear detachment, and hopefully we'll bring them guys home here in September. So, and then the other two are just a couple small transportation companies, so nothing really amazing. So pretty nice May for us, but that logistical exercise of those trains is going to take up most of our staff, believe me. That'll be quite an exercise. Next slide. June's going to be a busy month for us, but not a lot of large units. So you can see in there, there's some mobilization activities with the assault battalions, and we'll have some helicopters in and around. The whole aviation brigade is home right now, minus the 211th, which is getting to go. So a lot of our Chinooks, which if you haven't noticed, have been up fighting fires. So we've got some of our Chinooks up north right now assisting in the state fires that are up north. So you'll see them coming in through Camp Ripley to restage and go back to St. Cloud or back to the cities, but they'll be in. A couple of small units, and then the 2 of the 106 Cavalry down there from Illinois, they're coming in to do some pre-deployment work as well. That'll be tank firing, so won't have a lot of tank firing this year, but we will have some. And then we'll be bridging the Mississippi. So as we always do, we get these engineer units in, and that one out of North Dakota and Wisconsin. They'll be doing some bridging operations, so we'll be on the Mississippi, of course, and we work with the Corps of Engineers as well as the DNR and everybody when we actually close span. And we haven't had a lot of problems with that in the past. Just generally when a canoe comes downriver or somebody's fishing, they will turn before they get to us. But every once in a while we have to remind them. So, that's probably not a good thing. So, but we keep an eye on that stuff. And the fishing has been pretty good. So I suspect there'll be more people out there. So, next slide. July is probably our noise, one of our noise months, because you'll see the artillery's coming in there. So we'll be bringing back all of our equipment, so that reverse logistical exercise. So I'll have an artillery battalion downrange firing during the month of July. And really that's the big one. And then, of course, it's going to be just a ton of equipment coming back and restaging out of Camp Ripley. Next slide. August is a good month for us. Again, it's a nice, easy pace this year. Last year our hair on fire going 900 miles an hour with all of the big exercise we're running. This is more what I consider a normal year. So we're doing a lot with the Marine squadron up here. The Marine Air Squadron is a refueling squadron, and so we'll bring in our helicopters obviously to support them, as well as we'll probably see some of the C-130s out of Cherry Point, North Carolina. They come in and do a lot of C-130 work with us as well. So we'll see those guys around this fall, and then an air defense unit out of South Dakota, which is a very small unit. September, next slide. September is really when we get into back into our state agency training, all the things we do in the fall. So that's obviously, you see the Morrison County Water Festival. We get back into our kids' events and all of the tours that we do and all of the fall activities that we do. DNR fall certification, those are great opportunities, and of course with the State Patrol, and then our snowplow training, which happens in September, which continues to grow. This year I expect, again, they'll have 2 iterations this year, as the city of Minneapolis is now sending their crews as well. So that's a great event, and it's held every year in September. Next slide. October, we continue on into our fall, and this obviously gets into my favorite time of the year. It's our hunts, our DNR hunts, and our soldier hunts, and all of the other training that we do. We just finished the disabled veterans turkey hunt. It was a great success. We had great weather last week. I think the soldiers are probably a little bit not feeling so great this morning, sitting out in the rain trying to hunt a turkey, but last week the disabled veterans had just a phenomenal hunt, and those are some of the best things we do. This truly are, and so it really is special to be able to do that. And if I could share just a quick story, we've had the opportunity. It's pretty special when you get guys. Bud Grant was hunting this last week, and he's 89. He's 89 years old, and he got up to talk to the group of veterans, and there's about 50 of them, and they're from World War II, and there's only 3 World War II left, right? There was 3. There's like 7 Korean vets, and then Vietnam vets, obviously, on up to today. And Bud Grant got up and just for a second told a story, and he pulled out, and he was talking about how we do statistics, and how in football and baseball we're all statisticians now, right, about everything. But back in World War II, the statistic was how many people died, how many airplanes were lost. And he took his billfold out and he pulled out a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper he had friends in the 8th Air Force in 1945. And he had the number of heavy bombers that were shot down. And he had the number of fighter planes that were shot down, and the total number of casualties. And he started to cry. How many years do you think he held that in his wallet? And who did he tell? And we captured that on film. I mean, those are, you talk about our greatest generation. That's why those hunts are so important. That's why helping those veterans every day like we do, and you all support that, we do. So those are national treasure moments, in my world. So pretty neat stuff. So as we get into the fall again, we bring them out, we hunt, deer numbers are up. You can tell that they are up, you can see them out on the post, we're doing some more work on them right now. And I know that's been of great concern not only to Morrison County and around, but to Camp Ripley as well. So we've been working very closely with the DNR. Next slide. Our Medical Simulations Training Center, I think a lot of you have had the opportunity to see it. If not, we've had a lot of work with this thing, but I'll tell you the thing that I'm most proud of right now is we didn't know if we'd be able to, if we offer the training to local law enforcement, to local EMTs, as you just saw the EMT proclamations, because there were some federal laws that were precluding that and how we use the contracts. We were able to go through the legal process and get that cleared, and now we'll be able to offer that facility to our local law enforcement agencies and to be able to support all of those EMTs that we need. So I'm very excited about that because this facility is phenomenal in trauma care and treatment. And it's just a value add that we have here right in our backyard that we can use. Next slide. Our education center, you've all been there. This thing is just exceeding expectations. I mean, absolutely exceeding expectations. It's one event after another. That the capacity of the dining facility has been tremendous. Almost all of our state agencies now are using that facility. The 48 rooms are booked all the time for both military training and those civilian state agencies that use the facility. So we're very, very pleased with where we're at with the education center and being able to show that off and use it for events. Next slide. Our Camp Ripley partners continue to be a big part of what we do. The conservation officers just graduated a class of new conservation officers at Camp Ripley, and they're actually going through in-service right now. So we have a very close relationship, obviously, with the DNR and everything that they're working on. The State Patrol, their academy is currently going on. They'll graduate very, very soon here. And then their events, they're doing all their spring evocs. So again, as I always remind everybody, 371 is probably not a good spot to speed. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay, and yet I get a soldier every day that comes in, you'll never believe it, sir, I got picked up. I'm like, no kidding. No kidding. So they're here full time. HSCM, obviously Homeland Security is busy and we're doing a lot of events with them. We have a lot of upcoming. And then MnDOT. I'd like to see a larger MnDOT presence on Camp Ripley, and we are seeing that. MnDOT is a very segmented, they go by districts, and they're not consolidated, they're more separate. But they just had a big employer day, and they brought in district employees from all over. And they're using Camp Ripley more for those meetings, for those regional events, and I'm very pleased to do that because I think MnDOT's a big part of what we do up here. Next slide. Environmental, again, they just keep knocking it out of the ballpark every time I turn around. So as you know, we have a lot of things ongoing. The geothermal fields are up and running. We're working right now on the microgrid, and obviously the solar field's the biggest one. If you have an opportunity, get out and see the solar field because they are. I can't even fathom in my head how many solar panels that is. I mean, just watching the stakes going in that are going to hold these panels up, but it's 60 full acres, and they're putting them in right now, and they are going to town on it. So certainly stop out and see that because it is an amazing product. And Larry Herkey out there, the CFMO, his staff will be more than happy to take you guys out and see that. If you'd like to do that, just let us know, and we'd be happy to do that.
Colonel, whereabouts is it?
It's on the east side of Camp Ripley. So yeah, it's along the east boundary road. Yeah, it's between the river. We had about 50 to 60 acres of pine that were dying in there, that were going through that pine rust or whatever, and so we needed to rid those anyway. So we took that down. We still have a really nice buffer because we're on the high plateau between the river, but it's about 60 acres accessible right on the east side of us. So on the east side of the cantonment area. Yeah. Next slide. Our environmental partnerships continue to be strong. Obviously, we do a lot of work. Interns are inbound right now. Of course, I depend on the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities, CLC and St. Cloud State especially, for interns, for summer interns that are out there doing the work that they do in the environmental studies. We have ongoing water quality studies. We have ongoing bird and animal studies, and obviously ticks are a big one for us. So right now, obviously we're getting into deer tick season, and so they're doing a lot of that work. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I tell you, every time I think about the Nature Conservancy and things like the Audubon Society, when I first got in the military a little over 35 years ago, almost 36, you couldn't say the Audubon Society and military in the same sentence and get away with it. And now we're collaborating on a lot of projects, and it's amazing where we found those those areas that we're able to work together to be to work on each other's products. So I'm very pleased with that. And they actually do a couple large birding events now, which is very, very exciting out of camp. Next slide. Here's some of the surveys. I'll just mention a couple of them quick. Ongoing surveys are big for us, but obviously the one in the middle there, Ripley, she's got everybody kind of excited. I might have mentioned to her before, she is a golden eagle. She's a female golden eagle, and she has overwintered at Camp Ripley now 2 years in a row. She's the farthest north overwintering golden eagle in North America, and she has taken off now, and we got a radio collar on her, and she has taken off now back to the Beaufort Sea, as far north as you can go up into Canada, and she's nesting. And if she continues, if she ends up there and nests again, she will be the farthest north breeding female golden eagle in North America. So she's got scientists, they're starting to get a little bit excited about what the possibilities are with this little gal. So we'll keep an eye on her, and they've got her tagged. And as we always do, we have the great environmentalists that are doing the research that's required to follow these animals. The bats, obviously in the lower right there, you know, the northern long-eared bat is a big concern to our area, certainly as we get towards the time now when they nest and they get into the trees, and then we have to quit logging and quitting doing all the things that we need to maintain a healthy forest. But we are partnered up very closely with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to make sure we got ahead of this thing. And so we are watching this very closely and keeping track of those. Yep, that's a backpack. He's got a little backpack on him, and they're keeping track of these little bats and where they nest up and where they do their work. So very, very good stuff going on there. Next slide. Community outreach. Community outreach continues to be strong. I don't need to say a lot about that. You guys know what we do out there. It's one thing after another. We just got done with the Disabled Veterans Hunt. Next one on the dock is Trolling for the Troops. That one's coming up very quickly. And then, of course, all of the other things that we get ready to do. We just got done with, we helped with here in Little Falls. With the Little Falls High School. We were out doing that last week, and of course we had Earth Day last week as well out at camp, so cleaning things up. Next slide, please. Prescribed burning. Best thing I can tell you there is we're done. We are done. We had a great spring. We had a fantastic spring. We got almost 14,000 acres burned and maintained. Obviously, that's one of my biggest concerns is a fire burning off of Camp Ripley. It's interesting that I was just talking to the chief when I walked in this morning. The tag of Wyoming, a few years ago, Wyoming had a large fire get off of an installation out there and caused a lot of damage. And they're still trying to figure out all of the lessons learned out of that. Here at camp, though, we have not had any fires like that where we've had to do that, you know, and there's always that chance. And we train for it all the time. We had one large fire get onto camp a couple years ago, if you remember that one over by Randall. That one got onto Camp Ripley, and that was quite an experience for us. So we feel we're in a very good position. Obviously, the rain is helpful, no doubt about it. I'm sure for everybody right now, but we are looking very good, and this will green us out with a nice year.
Mr. Chair, Colonel, I wonder if you can expand a little bit on your fire service that you have, which is kind of a new service, sort of, in recent years, or new people maybe.
The fire department?
Fire department.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you can expand on the relationship with Gold Cross Ambulance, seeing as though we're
Sure.
talking EMS week, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I have 9 state employees that are firefighters, state-employed firefighters. They're paid for the state of Minnesota that work for me, and they are both crash fire rescue certified, obviously, for my runway. So we have the equipment to handle a downed aircraft and extraction of crew members, as well as wildland fire. And they have all the equipment that they need to do that. We're also working on a mutual aid agreement, obviously, with around the Morrison County and Crow Wing County, which we're currently working on right now, to be able to assist outside the community when available. We're not completed with that, but it's something that I'd like to see get done, and we're continuing to work with the Adjutant General on that. We also have a Army firefighting unit. So I have an Army firefighting unit on Camp Ripley. They're an actual firefighting unit. They have their own military firefighting equipment, and they are rangeland only fire. So we take them with a lot of time, and we train them in rangeland fire, open area fire. They're not horizontal or they're not vertical, so they can't do building fires, though we are training them in some of those techniques. And then probably the most unique thing we have is our relationship with Gold Cross Ambulance. A few years ago, my firefighters are also EMTs. They're all certified EMTs. And so we were able to work with Gold Cross Ambulance and move a trauma ambulance onto Camp Ripley, which gave me a better opportunity to respond to an accident or incident on Camp Ripley, because unlike most other places, when I have an accident, it tends to be a little bit more than a finger cut. And so having that asset right there, along with the air assets, just made us better. Having those firefighters, when they're off duty, can man that ambulance, then they can respond to Morrison County. And they can respond out of Camp Ripley in many cases much quicker than bringing them from another place. So it's a great opportunity for us. We keep that ambulance right at our troop medical clinic, and it's up and ready to go 24 hours a day. So it's a very nice opportunity, and we were very, very happy to be able to do that.
Very good, thank you, sir.
You bet, you bet. Great news here. I have some great news to tell you here. In June, it appears that we will be designated as a federal Sentinel landscape. If you remember, we started the Sentinel landscape with the state of Minnesota much quicker than I thought we would be designated, but it appears we've received this year, we've already received almost $3 to $4 million incoming from this process. And now we have a Sentinel Landscape Committee out at Camp Ripley that includes the Department of Agriculture, the DNR, all of the land use areas, the Soil and Water Conservation Service, and all of those partners together have come together and created a real strong product now that's been delivered to the Department of Defense. So I believe in June we'll be designated as a Sentinel landscape, which will then open up the Department of Agriculture federally, the Department of Interior, all of the other areas of federal government that are partnered up with the Department of Defense to access funds to continue our ACUB process. It really is what it is. And it'll expand it out because Sentinel landscape is much larger than just ACUB used to be. Sentinel landscape will extend those boundaries into watershed areas, land use considerations outside, open up areas for farmers to continue to get grants out of that as well. So some very exciting things to come out about it. And of course, I just gave you all the knowledge I have, which is that much. But you all know that Marty Skoglund and Jay Brzezinski and that whole team out there are working on this thing full time. So I'm very excited. And then I believe it's in October. There's a very large land use meeting that we held in the cities, a national land use meeting, which we'll be a very big part of, and then this will be rolled out formally. So you'll be involved. We'll get you invitations for all that stuff as it comes.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, and I was at the initial Sentinel Landscapes meeting, and since then, they're scheduled on Tuesdays, and it becomes real difficult for us to get there. I've had Amy, our planning and zoning director, come out to some of the meetings, but, I mean, I really wanted to participate, but it's impossible because we have a board meeting. So,
Sure.
I mean, I don't know, maybe I had talked to one of your staff out there in the biology department and said, is there any way you could do it a different day that's not, you know? 'cause
Sure, I'll have them look at it.
Yeah, because any other county board, even Crowing and Cass, Tuesdays are just not a good day, so just.
Well, let me take a look at it, Commissioner,
Yeah,
and
just to
we'll
kind
see
of
if we
see,
can't
'cause that's
adjust it or
important
maybe
stuff.
have every other one.
That
I don't
would be
know if it's
great.
affected by the state schedule. I really
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, that'd be, because I'm very interested in it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Thank
we'd
you.
love to.
Any more questions, gentlemen?
So that's it. That's what we're doing out at camp. And of course, you always know, anytime you need something, give me a call. Give me a call.
Thank you.
Stop out.
Thank you for everything you do out there.
Appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much.
Community.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on the opener. Oh, yes, sir. Saturday.
5-minute break, sure.
Tell you what, we'll take a break after social services. How's that sound?
That sounds like a great time to take a break.
You really kind of thought that was it.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Today I have two things on the agenda. The first is a front desk report from Amanda Meyer. Good morning, Amanda. And so I believe there is information in your packet as well, so.
The beginning of the packet hasn't changed from last year. Didn't add any additional information to that other than our graphs where we have our average pages scanned per day. That number went down just a little bit, which actually surprises me with how busy we've been. I'm not sure exactly why that's decreased, especially since our walk-in traffic, as you scroll down, you'll see our walk-in traffic has increased.
Staff is more efficient.
Maybe.
Amanda, Mr. Chair, I wonder if I can just bug you for a second, interrupt you, take you off train of thought here. Explain to me, what are we talking about when we talk about pages scanned?
We have gone to an electronic system.
Okay.
So as a client walks into the office, they hand us their paperwork, we put it in a scanner.
Where do they get that paperwork from?
Some of that paperwork is mailed out to them, some of it they print off online.
Okay.
Some of it is packets that they come in and get, but
Okay.
when they bring it to us, we will hand them their hard copy back, so they have it as a copy.
Okay.
Some of it will go into, my gals keep their work 30 to 45 days, usually current plus previous months. So
Okay.
if they say they don't need it back, we scan it as we get to it and send it on to staff. So If I'm sitting back in a desk and I'm a financial worker or a social worker, none of that paperwork is being back to me to
So give
create
me a
clutter
quick
on my
example.
desk.
Why would I come in with paperwork and you scan it and then this gets recycled? Just, and I don't mean to take all day, but if you can give me a quick example.
I wouldn't know you, Jeff, if I didn't
I know
expect it. Part of it is, I think, just to create more efficiency in the office for us. As a client, some clients are uncomfortable with that, and they'll say, I want to make sure it's in there right away.
Yep.
So it doesn't so much benefit the client, other than the fact that we are getting to items faster, because we're not passing things around in the mail, hand to hand. It literally comes through what we call a workflow box, which is basically an email communication system to each employee, so that they know that they've gotten something new per case, and they can view it, see that it's come in, know that we're no longer waiting for those documents, and they can continue to move forward with the next item in that case. So I think it's really made that process faster for them.
Okay.
So for instance, a client, we need verification of their assets. They didn't provide them with their application, so they'll come in and drop off their verification of assets. We will scan that information in, give that information back to the client. It will then go into their case file, electronic case file, where a financial worker will then work the case and determine eligibility.
So nobody's doing this anymore. They're now looking at their computer screen and so.
Primarily.
Primarily, for the most part.
This gets
Yep.
messed, this, nobody can read it, it's, gotcha.
Yep.
Very good, thank you.
And as you look up at there's one about Captiva versus maintenance imaging. Captiva means that it's gone through a system where typically either the worker received it via email or we received it at the front desk, and the worker never received a hard copy. Now,
Okay.
sometimes the worker gets a hard copy before we do.
Sure.
And now they've stuck it in a basket for us to image, and that would be our maintenance imaging. So we're still doing a little bit more on that end, but
Okay.
each year we're seeing that decrease
Good,
with all of that we're doing.
thank you.
With our walk-in clients, although we're doing a lot more electronically, you'll see that in 2014, we had 4,890 walk-in clients, and in 2015, we had 5,232. These numbers only include the walk-in clients that actually see a worker. They do not include the walk-in clients that just walk up to my staff's front desk and hand over a piece of paperwork. Because we only log in clients and can track the clients that are going to go see a worker. So when we think about what that number possibly would be, it would possibly be double if we were to track every single client that walks through our door.
And we are required to log in individuals that go back within our offices as a result of some federal tax information rules. So, so we, along with IT, have set up a nice system of us being able to track individuals. They have to sign in, they have to sign out, so.
Their name, their date of birth, all of that's included, so we have that for our records. Daily phone calls, we randomly monitor them. We're not monitoring as often as we used to because our staff has increased and caseloads have increased. So to be honest, it's not a priority to sit there and tally phone calls when we have documents that need imaging or other work that needs to be taken care of. But we are still averaging 90 to 100 calls per day. These are only the calls that come in through our direct line. So if they come to another staff member's line, those are not being tracked. So my 6 ladies, they're just tracking that direct line when they have tracked it versus anything that comes to them directly.
And our hope is with the new phone system that we will be able to do a better job of determining or measuring how many folks are calling both the front desk and each worker, and because there is a lot of activity that goes on, and it's one way of measuring staff performance, so.
The new phone system, they'll actually be able to pull a report for me to actually tell me how many calls have come in.
I
which
think
is
that will
really
be
cool.
extremely interesting, extremely interesting.
We're excited for the new phone system as well because we'll have a program that allows us to actually see if, just to be able to track our calls and send calls to the proper people in a much better manner as well. Some spotlights over this last year. We were able to reduce postage when mailing out prepaid medical assistance program packets. So before, when we would mail out this packet, it cost us about $7 per individual that we had to mail it to. And since January, we have saved almost $2,000. $1,820 is what the number came out to, because now, if they include an email address, we can send all the information to them except for one slip of paper to them via email. So that is saved.
And this year was quite a dramatic increase in packets having to be sent because of the re-procurement and the open enrollment, and so thanks to Karen and Cindy and Amanda for coordinating this to make sure that's a more efficient way to get information out to clients, as well as a more costly
Right.
way.
We are also working with information systems. We began a process about this time last year where we were working on making some changes with our electronic system for imaging everything. And we will be switching to a drop-down system versus a free text. So every time one of my gals images something, they were typing the name of that in. Well, what happens is we lose consistency. Everybody types something slightly different, even though they're trying to type it the same way. They're losing time, even though it doesn't seem like it. All of those seconds add up throughout the day, and they could be getting a lot more things done. And so I'll be switching to a drop-down process. It was a much bigger project than we anticipated, but we are finally in the end stages of getting that implemented. As of January 1st, we transitioned from all office support specialists. They were rotating the front desk, and now we switched to one person being up there consistently, which has helped with keeping our procedures consistent. It has helped because they're not having to remember, oh, what do I do up here again? You know, they remember so many things for so many units that now they have kind of one place that they're remembering all of those things for, instead of all the areas they're working in. This has also allowed the other office support specialists to be able to focus more on their other tasks, to be able to accomplish more during their week. I'm currently in the process of replacing the gal who did take over the front desk position. She moved to being an eligibility worker, which is very exciting for her. Unfortunately, it's taking more time than we would have liked, as we are struggling to get applicants for that position. But as I checked my email this morning, we have a few more in there, so crossing my fingers. We did have to hold a special merit test for that, just for office support specialists to come in and take the test and to move forward with that as well.
And Mr. Chair, that's something that I appreciate Amanda and Brad thinking of and moving forward with. Anybody who works in our social service department or agency needs to work through merit, which is a state HR system that's certified in a manner that allows us to be able to get federal funding. So it isn't as easy for us just to hire that unless we went through a fairly rigorous certification process with that, which may, at someday we might go to, but this has worked well. But the problem is people need to be qualified through that system. So if folks know people and know of folks that want to work in that social services agency, keep in mind we have 60-some employees that are there with different skill sets, different education levels, things of that nature. We need to direct them to that Minnesota Merit certification process. Holding those tests is a very good way of helping that exposure happen. So continuing to keep that in mind as we look for good folks to fill roles that are going to continue to become open as people retire and move on.
And Crow Wing used to be the site for testing for the merit, but they no longer are merit system county. So we, along with Cass County, are each testing quarterly. So you will see periodically an ad in the Morrison County Record indicating it is time for a merit test. So hopefully that will continue to encourage people to take the test.
And just to reiterate, there are a lot of different jobs with different skill levels. It's not, great social work career, with a 4-year social work degree or higher, but there's also other technical college degree level positions. There's some that aren't technical college even, that they're out of high school and they're decent jobs. They're a good work environment. They're doing some good work. So just encouraging that as we spread the word about ensuring we're a good place to work and the recruitment and the retention of that. So wanting to get that word out there.
Mr. Chair, I need to ask Amanda again, or Brad. The merit system test, are we talking about a typing test? Are we talking about an apostrophe S? What are we talking about?
It's different based upon the position. So last Friday, we held our first quarterly test.
Yep.
We've held 2 specialty tests, but last Friday was our first quarterly. So someone will come in and take a written exam specific for an office support specialist, where they are given questions surrounded based upon things that they do in the job, and that they have to answer those accordingly. And it's all just A, B, or C, type of questions where they're just filling it in for that to be scanned, but it's all problem solving.
Some tests require actual computers or calculators, and
Yep.
others would just require a test, and
Yep.
so.
And some, as a counselor, required you go in front of a board in the cities and pass that oral board, and so there's all kinds of, depending on what the position is.
Very
Like
good.
Social workers, they do any,
They no longer have to take the test.
oh, they don't, okay, okay. They
As
used to
of
have.
July 1st, or maybe January 1st, I can't remember, they no longer have to take a test, but
Okay,
they are just based on their education.
okay, okay.
Very good, thank you.
And then we've had a couple of people come to visit in regards to how we are electronically managing all of our documents and our systems and things like that this past year. And then as we've had people leave to go to other counties, like Paul has left to go to another county, or as I go to office support management meetings and whatnot, we're all conversing about different ways that we are imaging, and it's surprising how many counties have not gotten on board yet, when it really makes life easier, and how they have not gotten there yet. But everyone seems to be working on it.
Mr. Chair, and I'd like to mention too that process and that change in how we work has really helped keep staff levels where they are and not increased with the exponential increase in caseloads that we've had in all of the areas really of social services. I mean, with the increase in child protection, with the increase in the financial workers, and the increase in the min choices process and all of that, we have been able to be stable with our support staff due to those efficiencies that we've created. So it's been a tremendous advantage. You know, we think of things and I get that question about, well, where have we decreased staff? What have we done? You know, you spend money on technology. Where does it benefit the organization? Where does it benefit taxpayers? This is a great example of that. We would have higher levels of staff if we did not have those systems in place.
And Mr. Chair, I go back to a couple of years ago when all of it started, the min choices and the new way of insurance is working, and county is employing many more social workers, and Morrison County did what? Pulled the reins in and said, no, we're gonna take it one step at a time. And I truly believe that and this all work hand in hand to make efficiencies be what they are. We just heard it. Where are the new employees coming? I'm not saying we're not hiring anybody new. It's foolish to make that kind of a statement. But we didn't hire gobs of people because, and I truly believe a big part of it is because of efficiencies.
And Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I just can't imagine how much more space we would need to store case files
Absolutely.
if we did not have an EDMS system, so. I mean, it just, that's probably even more amazing is the fact that, you know, a lot of the workers don't have file cabinets in their offices anymore with paper in it. Not to say we're paperless, because we still buy just as much paper probably as the next organization or next agency, just because we have to send out forms and all the other things that go on, but
And
I
that's-
just can't imagine handling all the files that we would have today and destroying those files, shredding that information, just the process that we go through with that, so.
And Mr. Chair, we know we're tight on space in that area. We know that, because numbers have crept up slower than what they
Yeah.
could have.
But they have crept up.
Yep, due to
What it
that.
is.
But if we didn't have, if we still had those two large rooms that just housed files that now house people, we would be, we would have needed to address that need much sooner in a lot more robust way than what we were able to piece together now. So it's still an issue, it's still something we need to tackle, but.
Mr. Chair, Brad, when you say delete files, now, when it's on computer, do you still delete files? And do you just delete, or do you have to do something special to really delete?
We do have a retention schedule that Amanda's responsible for, and so yes, we do have to wipe files out based upon a retention schedule.
Okay.
So it's nothing more special than deleting, basically.
Okay, really,
Right.
that's what it is.
And we're just getting to that point where the electronic files we're starting to need to go through those electronic files.
Mr. Chair, is that still 7 years?
You know, it varies between 5, 7, 10, till they reach age 26.
Okay.
So there's a couple of points.
Any more questions, gentlemen?
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very kindly, Amanda.
Yep.
Thank you, Brad, for allowing Amanda to come and see us once in a while. It's
You
good
bet.
information. Thank you a lot.
I had to twist her arm, but she was here. No, she was very flexible, so. The next thing on the agenda is a resolution. I'm asking the Board of Commissioners to become the, Morrison County to become the sponsoring agency for the National Joint Powers Alliance Innovation Grant. The 5 counties in Region 5 are looking to pursue a grant from NJPA to provide education to all of our agencies around becoming a trauma-informed organization. So I've had some conversations with Wilder Foundation out of St. Paul that has worked with a few agencies and allowed them to become trauma-informed. As we know in the work that we do, a number of individuals that come through our door or that homes we enter have experienced trauma. If you look at some studies, about 51% of all children have experienced trauma at some point in their life. Could have been a natural disaster, it could have been a family interaction, it could have been an interaction with a stranger, but trauma is a part of a number of individuals' lives. We have worked hard at creating services that assist providers in managing trauma from a service level. I think what we're trying to do now is move that to an organizational culture versus a service-oriented culture. And so what I'm asking today is that if you would approve the resolution allowing us to be the sponsoring organization, which would mean that we would fiscally manage that grant on behalf of the 5 counties in Region 5. The process that we're going to go through if we are accepted for a grant would be to work with with an organization, maybe Wilder, that's who I've been communicating with, on a training plan for each of the agencies. It can be individualized to each organization, so they do not necessarily have to train all of the staff as we would train our staff. I think it provides some flexibility, but I think the core focus of all of us is to become more trauma-informed, which includes from office support all the way up to the director, creating some level of peer support, leadership teams, those kinds of things in this endeavor. So that's what I'm here asking the board today to do.
And gentlemen, I need a motion.
So moved.
I have
Second.
a motion and a second. Motion by Commissioner Mauer, seconded by Mr. Johnson. At the planning session, we discussed this very thoroughly.
Yes.
So I don't know, any more discussion on it?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if I may, and I did forward you the PowerPoint. I did not put it in the board packet, but I did forward you a PowerPoint that Wilder Foundation supplied me to review this endeavor. And so I just wanted to point that out too, that was shared with the commissioners.
Mr. Chair, I just believe that this is another form of working together, working with other agencies to become a greater good, if you will. That this is, I see absolutely nothing bad with this. I just see positives with this, so I certainly will support. Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Abstain.
All right.
Abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have
Appreciate
today.
it.
Have a good
Katie,
day.
we're gonna squeeze you in there. You don't have much on agenda anyway, so we'll get you in there.
She's got one thing that's not on the agenda.
Good morning.
I got the look when I said, we're gonna pass her up.
Good morning, Katie.
Good morning. Okay. Caught me off guard. Okay, so the first is, it's our last seasonal establishment license for this year, and it's for Pine Grove Zoo.
I need a motion.
I'll second it.
I got a motion by Commissioner Mauer, seconded by Mr. Jelinski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And you had one other thing on there. You snuck one in.
I did sneak one in. So the Safe Roads Coalition meets quarterly. It's under the name of the Towards Zero Death Safe Roads Coalition. It has representatives from public, there's 2 papers.
Okay.
Has representatives from Public Health, the Sheriff's Office, Little Falls PD, insurance agencies, and then Pierre and Little Falls school districts. So a couple things they've done recently to celebrate Distracted Driving Month last month. They brought a proclamation to board. They also, over 200 kids at Little Falls attended presentations on distracted driving. And then they were really involved with setting up the Pierce mock car crash. So in the last 5 years, we've gotten this funding for this grant. It's been around $15,000, 4 out of the 5 years. So this resolution just is a part of an application process that we need to hand in. And the grant goes on a grant cycle from October to September.
All right, I need a motion,
Mr. Chair,
gentlemen.
I'll move on this.
I got a motion by Commissioner Jelinski, second.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more discussion?
Good stuff for our children.
All right.
Absolutely.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
One more. Might as well- She came in so nicely, I know.
Mr. Chair, the order in your board packet, the assessor's office is after.
Katie?
This is it
Katie,
though,
we
then
have
we're
a
going.
Tri-County Health Board meeting tomorrow, 11:30.
After the auditor.
Come on, auditors report, then we're done.
Assessors.
Assessors, oh yeah, excuse me, I crossed one out.
That's okay.
You have to wait.
Okay, here again today, board abatements need approval. One of them is a fire abatement. We're abating the pay 2015 taxes. House burned in April. We're doing 8 months for pay 2015 taxes. This
Got a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Commissioner Mauer, motion, Commissioner Johnson, second. Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, there was a second one.
No, that's fine, you were okay, I know that.
Okay, no, that's okay. We can do them individually. That's okay. The second one was a clerical error. We're abating the pay 2016 taxes. The buildings should have all been removed off of the parcel. So we're taking care of that for the property tax.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Got a motion, Commissioner Mauer.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Johnson, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Great, thank you.
There we go. Now we'll
Thank you.
take 5.
They didn't let you finish. They're ready for break. Yeah, really.
Come at the end of
I just wanted to get
Steve,
there.
you're back.
Round two.
Deb's running the machine, huh?
Well, Tabitha and I, it's a joint effort here. We're trying to learn. Hopefully it's done correctly.
So that's gonna be,
Tag
is that gonna be
team.
continuous that way, that he's not gonna be showing up anymore?
No, he just
Oh.
needed a little help, just because he couldn't make it today, so
Oh.
we're learning.
Oh, okay. All right, let's start up with the auditor's report.
Okay, good morning, gentlemen, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
I have on the agenda a request for you to sign the easement request from the Great River Energy Company for one of our tax forfeited properties. This is for the power line project that's going in up north, starting from Cass County all the way down to approximately the Chaminade area, the Fish Trap
Fish
area.
trap area would be more accurate.
Yeah, so basically they're adding 16 and a half miles of new power line that will cut across this particular parcel. Expansion for, expansion of power for some of the parcels, but 16 new miles of power line for this particular project. It's gonna go from 34.5K to 115 for this particular project. And it's going to allow, a new substation at the Fish Trap area, Fish Trap Lake area for the pipeline project that's going in. And it's going to allow future expansion for the Chaminade Lake area as they continue to grow.
Mr. Chair, just some clarification if I may. It's not expansion, okay? It's increasing the amount of electricity needed for the pumping station because they're increasing the pumping ability at that station. So everything's there
wording.
already, they're not putting in new lines at this time, so it's just increasing the power to increase that flow through the line. So just so
Correct.
that's clarified.
Gentlemen, I need a motion to request the county board to sign the easement for Great River Energy Power Line to cross parcel 180095, which is a tax forfeited property.
So move.
I have a motion, and I have a motion from Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Wilson. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, and they are paying us $4,500 to go across that piece of property. So,
Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen, and we also have warrants on the agenda.
I need a
I would
motion.
make a motion on the warrants, everything.
Everything.
that's
Pay
there.
all the bills. Commissioner Johnson, I need a second.
Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Mauer.
aye.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Motion carried.
Thank you,
All
gentlemen.
right. Looks like we're up to County Board Public Works. Good morning again, Steve.
Good morning. Thank you. I have 2 items for your consideration. They were included in your packet. Currently, we have an agreement with Crow Wing County for the operations of our household hazardous waste facility. The way that's been set up through the state, Crow Wing County is a sponsor county. They contract with Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. We are a co-sponsor county. We contract with Crow Wing County. They manage the collection, the transport, some of those types of things to try to build efficiencies. We have a current agreement that they're wishing to amend, and the reason they're wishing to amend it is because of legislative action that made Minnesota a paint care state. Paint Care is a nonprofit organization that handles and manages the recycling of certain paint products, and they are compensated then by a fee that is added to the sale of paint that manufacturers collect. And so what this does is lays out those terms and conditions for reporting when we collect paint at the landfill, so that we can then also be compensated for our activities in recycling and however they may reuse paint that's collected. There are a number of retailers in our county that also are paint care facilities. I think there are 4 or 5 in our county. All of them are in the same type of a program. But this really lays out the terms and conditions for our household hazardous waste facility and our ability to then get compensated for recycling paint.
I'll make a motion on that, Mr. Chair.
I got a motion from Commissioner Jelinski, seconded from Commissioner Mauer, on the authorized resolution to request to enter an agreement between Crow Wing County and the Household Hazardous Waste Program. Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Swikesies. It's a lot of paper there, Steve.
Well, we want to make sure the board has the information when they spend $750 million. We,
That's why it makes it extra size.
that's for me, I can't
Just,
see.
I know, I'm just kidding. Give it to crap.
I know.
So we know we've got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
We've advertised and received proposals for the replacement of 4 drainage structures across the county. The first one, 49-225-015, is on our County Road 225 in Duane's district. That is a wheelage tax project in which it's on a county road, and it is not eligible for any state or federal funding. It's a single line of 78-inch reinforced concrete pipe. Marvin Tretter's proposal was the low proposal on that project at $110,243.50. We then,
Mr. Chair, just a question of that. So when you get that bid, that includes the concrete structure as well?
yes,
Okay.
it's complete, and so our role really is the inspection, construction staking, and the management of the contract.
So you order the concrete structure, or Treader does?
Yeah, it's all, Treader has.
Based on your...
Yes.
Okay, very good, thank you.
We also then have 2 projects with Lake and Township. One is eligible through the town bridge account for reimbursement. The other is a bridge structure that was on a low-volume road. That's the project 93rd Street, that because of the low volume, we were unable to obtain any outside funding for the replacement of the structure, but the structure was becoming so deteriorated that we were getting in a position where it would have had to be closed.
Steve?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, is that the one that, if I remember, was on a low-maintenance road, maybe?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
The township made the decision that they wanted to proceed with it. There's a number of properties that it's the only access that they had available. And so we included it with this contract. That came in at $41,265 even. It was a little bit higher than what the engineer's estimate had planned, basically because of mobilization. We were in doing the estimate from our perspective, hoping that because they were mobilizing for the bigger project on 103rd Street, that some of that would have been taken up, but the way the contractor bid that in the end, he split the mobilization and it came in at that amount. I had contacted the township and reviewed this with them, and we have concurrence from them for award. Then on 103rd Street, that is another project in Lakin Township. Said that one is eligible for town bridge funding. So the cost to the township would be $10,000 for all the engineering work that goes into replacing the structure. They're also responsible for $10,000 of the approach grading for the project. And the other item that is their responsibility is the acquisition costs of the right-of-way. And that would be one of those agreements that the county board entered into, and we worked with them to work through all of those issues to get to this point where we're going to construct the project.
Steve, excuse me, on that low maintenance road, was that just Lakin Township, or was that also Granite Township?
That's Granite and Lee have one that's on the line that we're working with.
That's low maintenance, right?
Yes, it is low maintenance
Okay,
also.
So when he said low maintenance, that's not the same low maintenance one?
Well, when you say low maintenance, I take it as minimum maintenance.
I'm sorry, did I say low? I meant minimum.
Well, no, but we're talking about the one over by Good Time Charlie's old place over that way?
The 93rd?
Yeah. Are we talking the same road here? That's
No. This is just with Lakin Township, and it's right in the center of the township.
That's that bridge replacement?
Yes.
Yeah, the one that was on our map?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay.
So we are not in a position yet with Granite and Lee
Okay.
to, we haven't got a final plan that we're going to bid on yet. with
Okay,
that
that's
one.
what I thought Jeff had meant. When you said that, that's where I went with my thought process, so, okay, thank you.
So there were
for-
two of them.
Yep,
Commissioner.
thanks for the clarification.
Okay, that came in a little over 15% under the engineer's estimate. And then the last project is over the Platte River on our County State Aid Highway 23. That is a timber bridge structure that has deterioration of the piling. And Marvin Treader was the lowest.
That's going to concrete as well.
That will be, yes, it's being replaced by 3 lines of large box culverts. The middle line, the center line is a 10x8 because as a part of our permitting, we have to drop that structure a foot so it fills in, so it gets a more natural bottom on it. The other 2 are 2 10x7s that would be on each side of that center structure.
Thank you, Steve.
So those were the 4 proposals that we received. We checked the bids, and our recommendation is that the board would authorize a resolution awarding this contract to Marvin Treader Incorporated.
If I may, before when you say, I'm looking at the bridge repair, Marvin Treader on that one is the Midwest Contracting was less, 329.
On the last one?
On the last one.
Oh, yep, I'm sorry.
So that's.
No,
Or am I
let's see.
looking at this wrong?
Yeah, he was a little, yes, you're right. Midwest Contracting was a little bit lower than Treader, but the project is awarded on a total basis.
Total basis, okay. That's
So
all
you
I-
can see the last number is
Yep.
across the bottom.
Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify, that you don't give one the other, okay. All right.
So
This will be, I got a motion. by
Second.
Commissioner- and a second, this is a roll call vote. Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
I
Do you have a,
I had
go
another-
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
had another question. When you take into these bid things, what about a time element? Do you look at if the contractor's got enough time to do all these? Or is that part of the penalty if he doesn't get it done in
As a part of the proposal that they received, the specifications, we established the time period in which the work has to be completed. And normally what we're looking at is how it fits our workload. And then we establish that time period and how many working days they have to complete the entire contract. And it establishes when we start to charge those working days. If they then exceed what was set up in our contract, then they go to liquidated damages, and that's a penalty that is deducted off payments that we make them. So let's say all these projects, I think we had 60 days on it. And they start sometime in early July. We start charging those working days. Once those 60 days are used up, then they would go on liquidated damages if they've not completed the work in that time period.
So in other words, every contractor here that bid, he bid on the entire project. I mean, his total numbers at the end. What I'm thinking of here is, if there's 10 projects out there and I bid on all of them, I think, well, I'll get 5 of them, I'll have time to do them.
Well, we have in our specifications, basis of award. And the basis of award is, in this situation, all four projects go together. Sometimes we would do under basis of award, let's say one of the township projects, if it exceeded a certain amount, it would be rejected. That wasn't how we did this. I don't like to do that, because sometimes what they'll do is load another project to get one that you maybe would drop low enough so that you would award it. And so when you're combining these with different units of government, they need to be a balanced bid, and that's how we do that.
Okay. Just trying to understand how we do all that stuff, so thank you.
Mr. Chair, in addition to that would be, you get a better price if you group them together too,
Yes,
correct?
so that's the other side of it.
Okay.
Right.
All right, I have a motion and a second, Again, we'll start with a roll call. Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Motion carried.
I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Pretty painless, thank you.
Have a good day, Steve.
All right, administration.
Mr. Chair, I don't have any action items, but I just wanted to take a minute to update you on the phone project that was referenced a bit today. We are moving ahead with that. We have developed there's gonna be training all of next week and the next Monday. I didn't contact you to participate in the training because you don't have a landline phone here, so it didn't make sense, but all other staff that have both a computer and a phone and are regularly utilizing them are going to be signed up for a training period that will be taking place down in Meeting Room 3 next week, primarily the 23rd to finish up. The go live where we flip over will be the evening of May 23rd. We'll have staff here over the weekend. Me and most of tech services, Beth and I, we're all going to be here Saturday placing phones. So we'll be physically going around in all of the government center over in Public Works, and we'll be placing the new phones on folks' desks. We'll be hooking them up. They won't go live though until the evening of Monday, the 23rd, so start of the business day, the 24th, for most of those go live. The company that we're working with will be here on site to help with those early bugs or questions that staff have, to remind them of how to transfer calls, of how to work the process, the system, and all of that. We are not switching over and converting those land administrative lines that go to and route through the 911 center. Those are going to stay on our current PRI. I'm gonna sound real techie here, but I've been working with this a little bit. And we're going to wait to convert those until the new 911 system is
We
installed.
won't even
So-
ask you what that acronym stands for.
No, well, good, because I don't know. Anyway, the PRI is some box that they plug stuff into. Anyway, we're not going to convert that over until the new 911 system is there, so we don't lose any functionality and don't risk messing with, in lack of better terms, the current 911 system that is past its life, that we have been needing to replace and is on schedule in July to replace.
It's a good thing.
So, process is working along. Kurt has been working very hard, and Mike, to get the wiring all complete. You've seen possibly some contractors that are working with updating some of the wiring. We didn't need to do it all over the building, but there's certain areas that we had to, because these phones will now work through our computers, so there's a few different wiring components that are involved in that. Things are, like I said, going well. Nothing that we haven't managed, we've been verifying information, we'll have, all the staff on Saturday, my understanding is when we plug them in, it kind of, like a computer, kind of acclimates to who it is, and it's all programmed specifically for individuals. So now if they would move desks, or if they have a new function, you take that phone out and you now plug it in here and it knows who you are, and it's there, just like your computer you can use anywhere. So current system and what that technology changes is that we have to rework that phone that sits at that desk and reprogram it, and everybody has to go through and make all those changes. I'm anxious. I think a lot of staff are anxious. Some more anxious means excitement, and some more anxious means frustration. But all in all, the functionality is going to improve. We're going to be able to have things like Amanda referenced, being able to track calls more, get more information, so we have some data to make some decisions about staffing, to make some decisions about customer service. We're going to be able to have more functionality and see who's on the phone, and be able to program individually, me as a user, what makes sense for the job that I do and how I want to use that. We're going to be able to work more with cell phone use, and when people are out in the field, to be able to route through a desk line computer and with phone numbers and things like that. So the ability for us to connect with clients is going to be greater in that, and continuing to pay attention to privacy and things of that nature. So lots of changes that are happening, but I think they're good. It's well overdue. As we know, that phone system has been something that's been on our radar for a very long time to replace. It's been one that has been in place in a good, solid system for many, many, many years, but it's time to replace that, and we're anxious to get that project off the books.
So, Mr. Chair, Deb, if I may, this is a VoIP system, and the old system was an analog system, if you will.
Yep.
Not that I have to be, or
I was
any
gonna
of us
say, if
have
we
to
go
really
into
go
this
there.
more, we're gonna both be in trouble.
But the county highway department, the Public Works, has had a VoIP system for a number of years.
Since when it was built, I believe, or shortly
Yes,
thereafter.
and a number of years, and that was the intent. And they've had virtually no issues with that. Computer-generated phone, voice over internet, whatever you wish, have really had no issues with it at all. And that is the thing of the future.
Yes, well, I have to
It's
be
not
honest.
the future, it's today.
It's today,
I shouldn't say
yes,
the future, it's
and it
today.
has been for a while.
Yes.
I think there was some kinks at first with that system, but the technology has come a
Yes.
long way, because that
Yes.
was a number of years ago.
Well, you're
already.
gonna have kinks in this one too, I mean, this.
Well,
anytime you
without a
something
question,
new,
there will be. But
it's
this
gonna go
is,
much better.
this is nothing more than, and we beat this up many times already, but
exactly.
it's technology. And you either
Anything
move
else?
with it or we're, yeah.
Yeah. We do have a meeting scheduled on the 23rd, that Monday, regarding our insurance bids. And we're meeting with the insurance committee within the county. As you know, the 5-year contract that we have is expiring at the end of 2016. So in working with Logis, and maybe I talked about this already, I forget what I bring.
but that's
to you.
fine.
We're going to sit down again and look at rates and see where we're at with the different options we have as an organization.
Do we need to be at that?
You're welcome to. It's up to you guys.
What was the time?
What
What was the time?
1:30, I got noticed.
Afternoon.
I got 1:30 on my calendar, but I don't think it's right.
I think that's what it was. I can't recall.
On the 23rd, we got an
1:30, yeah.
8:30 meeting.
It's up to you guys. I just wanted to make sure I extend that
Sure.
invitation. It's nice sometimes
8:30,
to hear
1:37.
what the
Or 5.
employees are saying or what the reactions are, because we do have memorandums of understanding to work with the bargaining units in terms of
Room
how we move
1,
forward.
2, 3?
Room 1.
Room 1.
So it's nice to hear from Yvonne directly. I was going to extend that invitation also to the management group and those insurance committee members, because it is, like I said, not just insurance for the county, but we have the maintenance memorandums of understanding to work out with the bargaining units. So that's moving forward. I'm anxious to get that worked on, looked at, and hopefully we can get through that process without too many increases in costs and difficulties and changes and whatnot. So we shall see. Other than that,
Anything else?
I don't think so. We met with the city of Little Falls last night. Thank you for all participating in that. I think that's something that we want to look to more regularly. It's good to interact. We have many cities, but obviously the city of Little Falls, with the population density that they have, the relationships that we have in a few different joint ventures are a little bit more prevalent. So it's nice to sit down with those folks every now and then. So thanks for participating. And I think that's it.
All right, committee reports. How about Mr. Johnson? Would you like to start?
Sure.
And we have, Mr. Chair, from Sunday, the 15th through the 28th.
Through the 28th. 28th, good day. 17th, we've got a planning session at 8:30, and Mike and I have community development at 12:15 at Pine Country Bank. On the 18th, Mike and I have community corrections at Land Services in Brainerd, 9 o'clock. I have on Thursday, the 19th, MCEA. The 23rd, we got Planning Commission at 7 o'clock at night. Public Works at 8:30 in the morning. And then what is there, in that insurance meeting?
At 1:30.
Insurance is at 1:30 PM. We got a board meeting on the 24th. I have Region 5 on the 26th. That is it for me.
Commissioner Wilson.
Dwayne hit all of mine except Randy and I have DCC on Thursday, the 19th at 5 o'clock at the TCC office.
Okay, and let's see here. I look, everything's hit on except for the 26th. I have a soil and water at 9 o'clock. Oh, there we go. Caught up? All right, Commissioner Muller.
Thursday the 19th at noon, Airport Commission. Friday the 20th at 9 in the morning, Mississippi Headwaters Board up in Walker. Let's see here, and then Wednesday the 25th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Public Health Advisory Board.
Commissioner Jelinski.
On the 16th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, starts the EMS, Morrison County EMS Appreciation at the Little Falls Fire Department. And at 7 o'clock that evening, and I will not be attending, is an EMS Joint Powers Board Advisory Committee. On the 17th, I believe, is filing for public office opens. On the 18th at 5 o'clock PM, I've got Hands of Hope here in Morrison County in Meeting Room 3. On the 19th at 10 o'clock in the morning, I've got an Armor O&O meeting in Douglas County. And at 7:30 that evening, I've got an Egg Society meeting here in Meeting Room 1. On the 21st, just for the sake of argument, at 8 o'clock in the morning is the Rock and Run at the Little Falls soccer fields here in Little Falls. And on the 23rd, I think everything has been mentioned except for a Stand Up For You meeting at the middle school at 5 o'clock on the 23rd. Then on the 26th, I've got an Armor State Emergency Communications Board meeting in Arden Hills at 12:30 in the afternoon. At 9:30 that morning, there's an ACUB meeting, which I will not be able to attend, and that will take care of it.
Gentlemen, any more discussion? If not,
So move for
got a
adjournment.
movement from Mr. Johnson and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 10:53. Good job, gentlemen.
65 years old.
Who's that?
Yes.